What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, I want to talk about something that the Chicago Bulls. First of all, I don't want to make it seem like Michael Jordan is the only reason why the Bulls won championships. You have to give credit to the. Uh, I don't want to say the help, but the supporting cast. Oftentimes, there were moments when the bench of Chicago Bulls came through. In particular, what comes to mind, Game 6 of 1992 NBA Finals. Jordan, in particular, was not playing well that game, and a combination of Scottie Pippen and the supporting cast came through and drove the comeback in Game 6. I think they were down by as many as 15 points in that game, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Game 5 on the road, 1991 NBA Finals, the finals that we're going to talk about, it was John Paxson that was the star in the fourth quarter of that game. I think he knocked down. Didn't he go like 8 for 8 in that game? All of them jump shots. Um, and then of course Steve Kerr in '97 hit what would be ultimately considered the championship and series winning shot off of a double team of Michael Jordan. So want to give credit to them. Also give credit to the great coaching of Phil Jackson, one of the great coaches of all time. Maybe not such a great person in some ways, but a great coach. And of course, last but definitely not least, Horace Grant, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc, and the best teammate that Jordan ever had by far, Scottie Pippen. But let's give credit where credit's due. Michael Jeffrey Jordan was the X factor. And in 1991, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls won their first ever NBA championship. Now, it is true that the Bulls benefited from injuries to a great extent. This Pistons team had dealt with some injuries. Um, the Celtics, who at one point in time that season had the best record in the NBA with a 29-5 record at one point, faltered down the stretch. I think they still won 56 games, I think it was. But injuries, in particular to Larry Bird, um, derailed what could have been a championship uh, season for them. But make no mistake about it, Michael Jordan still kept Isiah Thomas and Magic Johnson from winning championships. And when you look at what happened after that season, you can make a case for Isiah Thomas. Definitely the case for Magic. That was their last great top tier season. From that point forward, after the wrist surgery and after some other injuries, Isiah Thomas was never the same player. He's still an all star, but after 91, Isiah wasn't quite the same player. Magic Johnson ultimately had to retire due to acquiring the HIV virus. But this is what Michael Jordan stopped these guys from doing. People forget Isiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons were going for a three-peat. Remember the beginning of the season, I think Dennis Rodman had three-peat carved into the back of his head. This is what the main one of the talking points were in sports radio at that time. Can the Detroit Pistons do something that hadn't been done since Bill Russell and the Boston Celtics in 1966? Well, at that time, they had eight-peated, which will never happen again, ever. But that was the last time a team had ever won 3 championships in a row. Could the Detroit Pistons win 3 in a row? Remember, that was what the talking point was. You didn't hear any talk about they were old and all that. That's just anti-Jordan hatred, That's just anti-Jordan gobbledygook. And of course, that's been adopted by the LeBron fan base because they're at war with the Jordan fan base. So, of course, they're going to adopt any talking points that is negative toward Michael Jordan, even though it really has nothing to do with LeBron James. But no, they weren't saying that. As I said before, Isiah Thomas, by the end of the season, had just turned 30. Dumars was still in his 20s. Rodman had just turned 30 at the end. The oldest player was Lambeer. He was like 34. But a lot of those guys were still in their 20s. John Sally was in his 20s. Um, Mark Aguirre, was I think he was in his early 30s, 31 or something. Their team was not old. By comparison, the 98 Bulls were far older. Kukoc was, I think, had just turned 30 or about to turn 30. Steve Kerr was about 30. Pippen was 32. Jordan was 35. Rodman was 37. Luke Longley, I think, was about 30. And a lot of those guys, their market value had deteriorated because they were seen as on the downswing. Look and see how much longer Luke Longley, Judd Bushler, Dickie Simpkins, uh, Bison Daly was good, aka Brian Williams. May he rest in peace. A damn shame what his brother did to him, and his girlfriend, and the captain, the skipper of that ship. If you look into that situation, um, they'll never be found. Uh, they all share watery graves, um, if they're even anything left of them by this point. But anyway, um, got off subject and got morbid just then. But yeah, Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls. Michael Jordan stopped Isaiah Thomas from making history. He would have had a three-peat had they went to the finals and beaten the Lakers. And if they had beaten the Lakers, even though this wasn't the same Lakers, he would have beaten Magic 2 out of 3 times. And you can make an argument. This a lot of people say, well, really, they should have beaten them 3 times because the phantom call against Bill Laimbeer, which put Kareem at the line and saved the day for them in Game 7. So this could have been a totally different conversation if the Detroit Pistons had beaten the Chicago Bulls. And with Magic, well, look, let's say if Magic had beaten either Isaiah or Michael, had he beaten them, that would have been his 6th championship. 6 championships. And the big feather in his cap would have been he would have done this with a team without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He would have done it also without Pat Riley. I think it's a hell of an accomplishment that he went to the finals without Pat Riley. Remember, Pat wasn't the coach anymore. Pat wasn't the coach. It was Mike Dunleavy in '91. So at the end of the day, we've been having a totally different now. If he had done that, won a championship and won Finals MVP, that would have been 6 championships. That would have been, what is that? 80. What would have been? 4 Finals MVPs? I think 4, right? Because he won it in '80. I think he won it in '82. Kareem won it in '85. '87. Were they in '88? I think that would have been his 4th Finals MVP. So 6 championships, 4 Finals MVPs, 3 league MVPs. I think 4 or 5 assist titles, 2 steals titles. And remember, this still would have been an abbreviated career of 13 years. 6 championships in 13 years. Or 12 years. 6 championships in 12 years. A championship every other year. 9 final appearances. Then we're talking a even more significant GOAT argument for Magic. So Michael winning this title really changed the history of these two guys. They're still all-time great players, but if Magic had won a title, I think another title, excuse me, that would have, I think, seriously put him in the GOAT argument more solidly. And if Isaiah had won 3 titles and had three-peated, I think that would have pushed him, catapulted him from where he is now, which is at the lowest top 25, top 30. I think in many people's eyes, that would have pushed him all the way up into a top 10 conversation. I mean, a three-peat is a three-peat. especially in the more competitive age. You know, I know George Mikan did it, but I mean, to have done it in the more competitive era, 1980 onward, come on, man. So yeah, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls deserve a lot of credit for that, in my opinion. But tell me what you guys think.